Not there, but they give everyone jerseys, and Caitlin Clark grew up in Iowa, is a Chiefs fan, refused to wear the Colts jersey. She just held it up like this. And she hasn't gone out and said, like, I didn't do it because I'm a Chiefs fan, but the internet was like, she's a real one.
I love it.
And it's just like...
Okay, so Sophie Cunningham just dropped this interview, and seriously, everyone is talking about it. She called out leadership, criticized the league, and even shared some super spicy opinions about Caitlin Clark. This whole thing is wild. Sophie didn't hold back for a single second. Honestly, it's probably the most real we've heard from anyone in months. So, what do you think? Was Sophie being completely honest, or is she just stirring the pot again? Either way, let's dive in because her latest interview was pure gold. Also, are you even watching the final?
I guess watched, no. Hell no. I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I don't know what's going on. I talked to my teammates like the day that we did exit interviews and all of that, and I haven't. I need a cleanse. Like, I'm booking vacations. Wes, we need to go on a vacation and do a...
Now, before we dive deeper, let's get something straight. Sophie has never been afraid to speak her mind. She'll roast her own team, call out the WNBA front office, or casually swear right in the middle of an interview. Sophie always finds a way to say exactly what everyone else is too scared to. But this time, man, she really went off about everything. Her confidence is incredible. She owns a room like, I'm here, deal with it. Not doing that would have been unthinkable, and honestly, I hope she knows how awesome that was. The setting for this interview was pretty chill. Sophie hopped on the Show Me Something podcast back home in Missouri, sipping coffee from a mug, just talking like she didn't care who was listening. No media filter, no polished PR tone, just Sophie being totally herself. And somehow, in between stories about horses, the weather, and even baby fever, she managed to touch on every major WNBA headline making waves, Caitlin Clark included. So let's start with that. You know how the Indianapolis Colts recently invited Indiana Fever players to a game? Everyone got Colts jerseys. It was a nice little PR move, right? Except Caitlin Clark didn't exactly play along. She grew up in Iowa and is a massive Chiefs fan. So when they handed her a Colts jersey, she didn't...
Colts have Fever players out. Sophie was not there, but they give everyone jerseys, and Caitlin Clark grew up in Iowa, is a Chiefs fan, refused to wear the Colts jersey. She just held it up like this. And she hasn't gone out and said, like, I didn't do it because I'm a Chiefs fan, but the internet was like, she's a real one.
I love it.
And it's just like, it's so good. So,
and naturally, the internet went absolutely wild. Fans were calling Caitlin a real one, praising her loyalty, and memes were flying across Twitter like confetti. That's when Sophie chimed in, and honestly, her reaction was exactly what you'd expect. She said straight up, that was awesome. I hope Caitlin knows how cool that was. Then she laughed, adding, I'm not even surprised by it. That's totally her. Now remember, Sophie wasn't even at that game. She had left before the event started. But when she saw the video online, she couldn't stop hyping Caitlin up. She called Caitlin's refusal to wear the Colts jersey real and incredible. And she's totally right. It might seem like a small thing, but in a league where everyone is expected to play nice and stick to the PR script, that kind of authenticity really stands out. Sophie even said Caitlin's moment was her favorite thing to happen all week. She joked that Caitlin could have just worn it and smiled, but the fact that she didn't made it even better. Honestly, this moment says a lot about why fans love both players. Caitlin Clark is unapologetically herself. Sophie Cunningham is unapologetically loud. And when one outspoken player recognizes another, it's a rare bit of mutual respect that fans actually enjoy watching. But that was just the start. Sophie didn't stop there. She also talked about her own recent controversies, especially the one where she cussed out WNBA leadership and got fined. Remember that rant where she said league executives don't know anything about basketball? Yeah, that one. In this interview, Sophie basically said, yeah, I said it, and no, I'm not taking it back. She explained perfectly. I'm not going back on what I said, but maybe how I said it could have been better. Then she laughed, adding, I might have been a little harsh, but it's also just me. That's such a Sophie thing to say. Half apology, half mic drop. She even admitted she wants to be more mindful about how she talks, because when she cusses, people act like she doesn't know what she's talking about. Her exact words. When I cuss, people think I'm uneducated, but I do know what I'm talking about. I just cuss. Honestly, fair point. Passion is her brand. Then the host asked if she regretted her comments about Kathy Engelbert or the league office. Sophie didn't hesitate. No, I meant every word. Maybe I shouldn't have cussed it, but I meant it. That's the kind of blunt honesty fans wish more players had. No walking on eggshells. No hiding behind media training. She's just saying what everyone's already thinking. But Sophie didn't just talk about herself. She defended Caitlin Clark again, almost without realizing it. When asked if she'd been watching the WNBA finals, she flat out said, "Hell no. I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I'm on a break." Then added, "Good luck to whoever wins. I honestly don't care who wins." Before anyone judged, she made a solid point. After a long season filled with injuries, chaos, and drama, she just needed to unplug. Many players feel the same, but never admit it publicly. Sophie explained that when you're in it, competing every day, and things go wrong, you need time to reset. Watching other teams play right after you lose? That's painful. So her WNBA cleanse wasn't shade. It was pure burnout. And honestly, after this season, who could blame her? She's been relaxing, hanging out with family, just trying to enjoy a simple life for once. Meanwhile, she still throws in those sarcastic one-liners that remind everyone why she's so entertaining. She said, "I'm booking vacations. I'm over it. There's drama, but I'm done." Then joked, "Let's talk about fashion instead." Only Sophie could jump from talking about league fines to peacoats and Christmas trips in the same breath. Now, let's rewind to that Caitlin Clark jersey moment for a second, because that Caitlin Clark jersey moment revealed something deeper. Sophie didn't just think it was funny. She thought it was powerful. She said it showed Caitlin knows exactly who she is and doesn't care about trying to please everyone. That's rare in a league where players are constantly expected to be grateful and polished. Sophie even said she hopes Caitlin realizes how iconic that small moment really was. And honestly, she's not wrong. That clip of Caitlin holding the jersey became one of the most shared WNBA posts of the week. It showed confidence without saying a single word. Sophie called it awesome, and fans absolutely agree. Let's be honest. Caitlin could have done the usual PR move, smiled, and thrown it on, but she didn't. She politely stood her ground, and fans loved it. That's why Sophie relates to her. Both are real. They don't fake things for social media or league approval. Later in the interview, Sophie switched gears and talked about how being outspoken in the WNBA comes with consequences. She feels like she represents players who can't say certain things publicly. She said, "I represent a lot of people who don't say stuff, so I want to make sure I say it right." That's rare self-awareness. She knows her platform matters, not just for herself, but for players who can't risk fines or losing sponsorships. Sophie dropped another gem that got fans talking. When the topic of WNBA leadership came up, she admitted she still thinks many executives don't understand basketball. She put it like this: "They might be good business people, but they don't know basketball." That line exploded on social media the first time, and now she's doubling down. No backtracking, no apology, just explaining her view. The people making major decisions for players don't fully understand the game. Honestly, it's hard to argue with that. If you followed Sophie, this is exactly what fans expect. She's a player who says what everyone else whispers behind closed doors. And even when she's controversial, she's somehow charming. Her energy is a mix of country girl honesty and a don't mess with me attitude, making everything she says feel like half an interview, half a stand-up routine. She'll cuss, laugh, drop a serious take, then start talking about horses like nothing happened. That's her magic. And this interview reminded everyone of it. Let's tie it back to Caitlin Clark. You can tell Sophie genuinely respects her. She sees how the league constantly tries to use Caitlin's name for headlines and sponsorships. And you can feel that Sophie's tired of it. She's basically saying, let the players breathe. Let Caitlin just be Caitlin. Even while trying to stay chill on her podcast, that energy came through. She's defending players like Caitlyn without even trying. After all the noise this year, both Sophie and Caitlyn have something big in common. They refuse to fake it. In the WNBA, that's rare. And Sophie wasn't done. Once the podcast shifted to the off-season, she went full Sophie again. She talked about her WNBA cleanse, knee recovery, and finally getting time to live a normal life. But her tone stayed the same. Sarcastic, straight to the point, and utterly entertaining. She laughed about Aunt Duty, joked about baby fever, and admitted she'd been home long enough to get bored. But then she got real. She feels the WNBA world is always on edge, and she needs to step back before the drama consumes her. That hit hard, because this season was pure chaos. From injuries and media fights to social media exploding over every small thing Caitlyn Clark did. Sophie made it clear she's done feeding that noise. When asked if she watched the finals, she famously said, "Hell no, I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I'm booking vacations." That line sums up her mood. She's not mad, she's detached. She's burned out. She explained that for players, it's not easy to watch others live your dream right after it ends. You need space. That's a real take you rarely hear in a league where most players stay polished and professional. Then came maybe the funniest part. Sophie joked about winter fashion, peacoats, and Christmas bar crawls. Yes, in the same episode where she called out the league. Only Sophie could pivot from fighting fines to talking about dream holiday outfits. She's upgrading her wardrobe, planning a trip to New York for Christmas, and yes, buying a peacoat. Hilarious, but also a reminder of her confidence. Sophie knows how to control the conversation. One minute it's fines and controversies, the next it's laughing about winter clothes. She's not just a tough player who swears a lot. She's human. The topic shifted to her rehab. Sophie admitted she'd ditch her leg cast early without the doctor's permission. "I'm not patient." When her doctor checked her knee, it was healing faster than expected. Sophie just laughed.